Jack, hi.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm fine. I'm fine, regardless what's happening in, everywhere in the world.
First of all, I want to thank you for joining. It's a big pleasure for us. How things going there?
Well, we played the last concert in on the 8th of March in Belgium, and that was the last time that we all the five of us got together. So it's been a while, and we had so many gigs planned for this year that obviously had to be cancelled, rescheduled, and everything. We were supposed to be going to Mexico. We were supposed to be going to Australia, but obviously everything had to. The current situation didn't make it possible. So basically, then we had to face the let the people know that Mickey, our guitar player, was going to leave, and we were hoping to do some like live auditions, but that was possible, so we had to do online. But luckily we have a new guitar player is an Italian guy called Francesco Marras, who lives in Germany. He's Italian, but he lives in Germany, and he's now the new guitarist from Tygers. And since he joined, we started working on new songs, and that's what we do. That's actually what I do today. Today I have to record a demo because we have an idea that we have to develop, and I have to record a demo. So we're taking this time that we cannot play live to write new music. And I think it's the best way to get through the whole pandemic, by recording new music. So and hopefully as soon as we can get it recorded.
Oh, many changes. I see. So, do you want to share something for about the new songs or the new album? Any ideas?
Well, the new songs. We are currently using technology because the guy Rob, Craig, and Gav are based in England. I'm based in Florence in Italy, and Francesco is based in Germany. So luckily, technology can help us. So we bounce each other's demos and ideas, riffs, and that's how we do it. I mean, I'm used to that because in the past there were four guys in England and one guy in Italy, which was me. So they were at least they could rehearse and get together, and then they were sending me. They were going to send, and they were sending me demos. And now we're doing a little bit in a little bit different way. But the hope. We think spirits have really. We're very pleased with what we do. I think it's psychologically is the best thing to do, because if you're stuck at home and basically you can go out for just tiny little bits, having to record and having to deal with your passion, and it's the best way to keep your mind occupied. And Rob has been since as I said, I've the last time I saw him in person was like in Belgium at the airport, and but since then he's been writing stuff, he's been writing riffs and sharing ideas. So we're pretty on board. We're pretty happy. We for the first time ever, I think we will be able to write a lot of songs, and to take, and if you know what I mean, to develop all the song to a stage where it will be easy to pick up the best ones and to go in a studio whenever it will be possible to record a new album, which I hope it will be very soon, because we would like to have new stuff ready for when we're going to play live again, which I don't see possible until next spring, which means April
Yes,
2021, if everything goes right.
I see. Since 2001, with the Mystical album, you steadily making albums almost every 4 years. Not an easy feat, even for more enterprising bands. What's your secret?
If you speak to Michael Anderson, who is the boss of Target, and we are now signed to Target since We have done 2 albums with them. And he would love to have at least an album every 2 years, and that's what we are looking for, and we're trying to do this time around. But in the past, what happened is that it takes some time, especially if you are in like Tygers, an independent band, that you have to tour to promote the album, and at the same time you have to tour also because you have to gain the money to record the album, because in the past we kind of self-produced the album ourselves, so we invest on the making of the album, and so you need money for that, and the only way a band can get money is by touring. So that's mainly one of the reasons that it took some time to get the right amount and the right budget to then go to the studio and record the album, mixing it and mastering and everything. So that's one case. The other thing is that in the past, and I don't know if it's going to happen now, but in the past, we have no problem. There's never been a problem in writing stuff, but there's always been, we need to feel the pressure, if you know what I mean. We need to feel the pressure that a record and have to be, a date where we have to go to the studio and start recording. So we need to have we need to have some pressure on our shoulders to be focused on going to the studio at a certain time. Otherwise, we are a bit lazy, and so we do demos, but we never come to the stage where we are 100% happy with it. And only when suddenly the record label says, "Oh, we need to have the master by, whatever date," that's when everything clicks. And I think this time around is going to be we're going to have a complete different attitude, because really, I'm not saying this just for the sake of it, but really we are really impressed by how many good ideas and how many songs we've been developing since last August with Francesco and the rest of the band. We've been really, 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 really writing and concentrating on writing new stuff. So hopefully this time around, a new album will be out definitely sooner than 4 years. It will be out, I can't say a certain day, but I would love to record the album in 2021, a new album. So hopefully it would be out in 2022.
Perfect. And so I have to ask you, Ritual is the 17th and most recent album of Tygers, back in 2019. Have you ever thought that Tygers will be around after 40 years?
Well, I'm in the band since 2004, so it's been 16 years that I've been in the band, and when I joined the band, I would never expect that we will be, we'll be together so long. But yes, if that question you should ask to Rob, who was there since the beginning, and every time people ask that, Rob just says, well. It's been a roller coaster ride, because we started with back in 1978, and all of a sudden we were with the Wildcat, there were everybody was saying they were going to become big stars. Then came Spellbound, Crazy Night. It was like 2 years where they released like 3 albums within a very short period of time, and speaking with Rob, he would never expect that since he reformed the band in 2001 with Mystical, he would be going and the band will still be running. There've been several lineup changes, but even for me, when I think 3 days ago, it was like the anniversary from Crazy Nights. And for me, it's an honor to be in a band that that celebrates a 30th anniversary, because it was released in, I think, in 1980. It was in 1980. So a 30th anniversary of an album. So it's it's an honor and a responsibility to keep the quality and to keep the standards and to keep the expectation and, you know, to cover the expectation that fans will have when we will do a new album. It's great. At the same time, it's a great you know, it's a great feeling because obviously you're proud of what you've been, you know, working on and you have been achieving, and it's great that, you know, the fans are still here, meaning after so many years. There's, you know, when you talk about Tygers, when you say you're a member of Tygers of Pantang, and you just say the name Tygers of Pantang, this very strange name, there's a, you know, you can see on people's face, on, you know, heavy metal fans and hard rock fans, you can see on their faces that there is some kind of you know, excitement, and there's still excitement, and there's still a lot of respect to the name for what the, you know, the band has been releasing through the years and everything. So it's great, fantastic. I wouldn't imagine, I would never thought that that it would be like this in 2020.
Tygers were one of the first pioneers of new wave of British heavy metal. How things change now in a band's philosophy in the music industry, and how things work in heavy metal now as you can see them?
Well, luckily, I would say that heavy metal is a genre and is a genre that keeps doing pretty well, and one of the reasons why I think it's up to 100% to the fans, meaning the fans are so devoted, and they are they're still buying records basically, and they still go to shows.
Yes,
and they're loyal, even when even when a fan, you know, they even if they grow old. And when they grow old, they still love the music. They still buy the records. They still come to concerts. So, in a way, heavy metal has survived all the changes, the drastic changes that have been in the music business, with the advent of internet, with the coming of, you know, the fact that, you know, more and more people, if you listen to pop, a lot, you know, if you think about pop now. I don't think there's many pop album that sells, because everything is down to, you know, digital streaming or digital downloading. So it's a complete different way of promoting, and also a way of what I want to say is that people have a complete different attitude towards music, and a complete different relationship to music. When it comes down to heavy metal, the kind of relation that's between, you know, the bands and their audience, their public, their fans, has been the same since 1980. Meaning, fans love to have vinyl, to buy vinyl, still love to buy vinyl. They want new stuff, and they want it, you know, physical. They want to buy the CD. They want to go to the record store, and they want to go and they want to buy it. They want to add the new album to their collection. And most of all, they comes to show. Meaning, no matter what happens. Meaning, I'm so sorry that Tygers came to Greece only once with me on vocals. But I remember that we played a terrific show in Athens, and I still have some so fun memories about that, because man, the audience went crazy, really crazy. It was one of the I would say the wildest night that we ever had. And I remember that we had the show, and then we stayed with the fans, and then I don't know what time of night, but some of the fans took us to another club that was near that was somewhere in Athens. I don't remember, because I was starting to be drunk already, but we had such a hell of a night, which is something that you probably don't. It doesn't happen if you're not into heavy metal, or if you're into, you know, hard rock, and you have that kind of relationship with your fans, and that kind of relationship with the music, tight relationship. So I think this is the reason why heavy metal is still alive, and heavy metal festivals are still alive, and they're still doing well. And that's why Unfortunately, not this year, but there's always like we are always being invited to a lot of festival, big ones, but also not small, but 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 capacity festival, and that was fantastic. Meaning the Headbangers Open Air in Germany is one of the greatest one. There's another one. There is another one in Germany that I really enjoyed it. We've been there twice, and it was really, 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 really great. We had a really great time there, and it's fantastic. It's fantastic because it has never changed. It has never changed, the attitude. The only problem is that the only problem is that we are getting old in a way. So we need to we cannot afford to get such a tight schedule sometimes. So we need to have like when we tour, we need to have we need to a number of dates and they have a day off, and that's it. And sometimes getting to the traveling, it's a bit exhausting, but so far, I don't think. I think that heavy metal is doing pretty well.
I see. And since we are talking about festivals and Greece, when all these things, with pandemic and all this stuff comes to an end, is there any possibility to see you in Greece again?
Yeah, sure. Anytime. As I said, I still have such great memories of that gig in Athens that goes really back in time. I think it goes back in 2009, something like that. So it's been too much. It's been really too long ago. We need to come back. We know that Greece fans. We met some Greece fans in. I think we met them a couple of times in Barcelona at a festival in Barcelona. There was like a couple of guys coming from Greece, and they were asking us, and if you have any promoter that is interested, or any promoter you can suggest, if you're in, you just have to say. You just have to, give us the contact. We will try to contact, and we will try to arrange. And we would love to come there for a couple of gigs and spend some time in Greece. Anytime. As soon as touring will be again possible.
Jack, I have to ask you about the name of the band. Many of your fans know what the Tiger of Tang Bang is, but also many doesn't. What does it symbolize for the band?
Well, again, Rob would be the perfect one to ask. But Tygers of Pantang is the name. The cliffs of Pantang are fantastic, and some sort of a fantasy place that was mentioned in Michael Moorcock, one of Michael Moorcock novels. And they were saying that the cliffs of Pantang were a very, very dangerous place because tigers were there. So that's the thing that came out. Then I don't know exactly who had the idea of the kind of Chinese lettering of Tygers of Pantang, and who was the one to, and I don't know, and I'm not pretty sure if it was Rob or somebody else in the band who suggested to put the Y in Tigers instead of the I, but that's where it all came from. And they all thought, meaning I remember Rob saying that they all thought that having such a, I would say, strange and long name was a little bit different from anybody else. And then if you think about the fact that they were coming out of new wave of British metal, where you had Def Leppard and Iron Maiden, and then Saxon and Venom, because in Newcastle there was another band there was also Venom there. If you think about all of them, they all had since the beginning a very, very, very characteristic. Everyone had their own logo. Everyone had their own. The Tigers had the tiger. Iron Maiden had the Eddie, and Def Leppard had, since the first album, had their lettering very,
yes,
specific lettering, and then you had Venom, who were one of the first one to have all the satanic and kind of reference and everything. So it was a time where I think everyone had the freedom to try and felt the freedom to just be different and develop their own image and their own style also of image of how to to present themselves. And it is something that nowadays has been a little bit lost, because obviously there's a complete different the marketing strategies have changed so drastically. And but that I guess that was a typical example of how back in the 80s there was this completely freedom to experiment and liberty, meaning the record label were not that were open-minded record labels, so they allowed people to, and allowed the band to to choose by themselves everything. Record, because if you speak to Rob, you could tell him that even on the record, on the artwork, they had almost complete freedom, which is something that is if you think now, it's unbelievable. They will never allow you to do it. Big labels like big major labels, they will want to have the control of everything. So it was. I think that Tygers of Pantang, even the name is a kind of it reminds you how band were free to express themselves back in the 80s.
That's a good question. How difficult was for a band to make an album back in 80s or 90s in comparison with nowadays?
Well, as I said, the music business has completely changed, I think. Meaning now, in the 80s, it was a band need to be ready and prepared to get in the studio, because no matter if it was a low budget or a big budget studio, it was going to be expensive. And on the other hand, the record labels were very, very curious and were very open-minded, and they were always looking for something new. So in the case of Tygers, what happened? They went in the studio. They released an EP, and the EP went so well in the Northeast, in Newcastle and in that area, because they self-produce. The story of Tygers is a little bit the same story of Def Leppard. Def Leppard produced their own EP, and the EP sold so well that I would say it was that, I think it was like Polygram was so interested. And the same thing happened with MCA. MCA was so interested in the fact that a band coming out of nowhere was selling by themselves so many copies that they wanted to have them signed. And this is something that don't happen anymore. I mean, big major labels, they don't have, they're not interested in investing in new stuff in a way. They're more happy to invest on big names and everything. On the other hand, nowadays it's much easier to produce an album, because you can record almost everything at home, meaning guitars, vocals, and bass and everything. Only the drums, unless you want to program them, which is not our case, because we still record at the old ways with the four of them in the studio playing backing tracks live. So that you need to have proper drums, proper equipment, and a proper studio, a big studio that allows you to have a full band playing together. But nowadays, we tested this by ourselves. And I was saying before, we are now recording a lot of demos, being in different countries by sending us backing tracks. And the backing tracks, they sound good. They're not back in the old days, they're not crap, 4-track recordings or cassette recordings or anything. They're pretty. Even the demos, they sound pretty damn good. They give you exactly the idea of how the song can how the song should sound like. So nowadays, making a record is not a big deal. The big deal is, again, getting the promotion and getting your song or your name and the name of your band to the general public. And so you have to learn how to use all the strategy around Spotify, Apple Music, or Amazon Music, or whatever, and to get into playlists and to know how to make them work. And in a way, a band has to do a lot of the promotion by themselves. They have to have a knowledge of marketing. I think every band nowadays have to have a knowledge of marketing more than it was in the past, where a band just had to write music and play music good, and then a record label will be interested, and once the record label will have them sign the record label will take care of everything. Nowadays, the record label take care of a lot of stuff, and we are very lucky because Target, our record label, is one of the best independent record label that I have been working with, because they're very, very into promoting and into getting Tygers records everywhere, and in terms of and they're all very happy to invest money and time and efforts to make Tygers sell as much as possible. But at the same time, everything has changed, and again, the perception and the public, how the public and how the final consumer gets the music, and it's different, and this doesn't help. That sometimes doesn't help, because you need to be, in a way, you need to be very focused. And thankfully, as I said, by the fact that we play a genre like heavy metal or whatever you want to call it, that has the fact that we whenever it's possible we play live. That's what makes a difference. That what makes a difference, because at that point we have the same attitude that it was there back in the 80s, that basically we go on tour, we do our best, and we hope to sell a lot of tickets, a lot of people coming, and we hope to sell a lot of merch, which means a lot of CDs and T-shirts and everything during the gigs. And that will give us a perception of how good, of how is the album, the new album, and the band is accepted and received by the audience. So in a way, we're doing. There's a part of the business that's still old ways, but there's a complete different world now for a new band. A new band that's coming out now has to be ready to self-produce their own album, have to be ready to self-promote their album, even if it has a record label. But they have to have the knowledge that there's part of the business that they have to do themselves, and it's not just a matter of writing and recording a good song.
I see. And about these platforms, on the other hand, many artists are now standing their ground to Spotify for not giving to the artist the appropriate royalty for their work. What is your opinion?
It's true. We're getting a little piece of the pie, very little piece of the pie, but that's how it is, because nowadays there's not that much alternative. Meaning people don't buy records anymore. There's only few countries where people, like Germany, for instance, or like Belgium and Holland, and I think Greece, also where people still buy records. But in most other places, there's not many people who buy records, so they buy, and everything is in streaming. So everybody is listening to music through digital platforms. And I think big companies like Spotify, they know that, and they know they make a difference. They know they make and they have an impact on the market.
Yes.
And so obviously they play their role, and they get most of the money out of it, basically.
Yes.
On the other hand, that's part of the business. Meaning, music and the music business has always evolved. So it will come a moment. It will come a time where things will be different. The other thing is that, particularly now with the pandemic, the only way you can listen to music is either whenever they allow you, go to a record store and buy a record, or get on internet and listen to music. So this is the right time for Spotify as well of the other ones, Amazon and Apple, that they can say we make a difference. So you have to accept it or not. People are listening more through us, and they're getting your music through us more than anything else. So you have to just accept it and get away with that. Hopefully, things will probably change a little bit in the future. But still, they will get more money than in a way. It's fine that they get the money. I don't say that they should not have it, but at the same time, they should get less money that they're having now, and the artists should get more money out of it, more percentage of the copyright, because without them, they would, streaming services would not do anything. So that's the big difference. Without music, those big companies would not exist. So you have to pay. You have to accept. On the other hand, you have to accept that and give what it's right to the artist that allows you to survive, to do your business.
Exactly, and there are difficult times for artists now, especially now.
Yes.
Jack, what bands or music players inspired the Tygers and you personally?
Well, with Tygers, I would say, if I speaking of Tygers, back in the early days, I would definitely say they were inspired by Thin Lizzy, they were inspired by Status Quo, they were inspired by Deep Purple, they were inspired by Rob is a great fan of AC/DC and Bon Scott era, and so that were the inspiration. They were basically. And there were kids that really loved hard rock, and they kind of and they took the hard rock to another level with with a different, more aggressive sound, and that's one of and that's the common that we have, me and Rob together, because I grew up listening to Kiss and Queen and then Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple, Black Sabbath. So I grew up listening to hard rock, and that's the core, and that's what I still like to listen right now, even though I'm a big of a record collector, so I listen to a lot of stuff and I buy a lot of stuff. But when it comes down to make a decision, hard rock, it's the genre that represents me. I'm a huge fan of UFO, and it was a tough year for me because two members of UFO have died this year. So Paul Chapman first, and then Pete Way, and it was a great loss for me. It was a big one of those tough moments that we had during this year, because to me, UFO are one of the best bands that there were ever that UK England has ever produced, and I always loved them. I always loved the fact that they were one of a kind. I always loved even all the different lineups. I love, the one with Michael, obviously the one with Michael Schenker, but I was a great fan of Paul Chapman. So this year was a tough one, and I can't wait to hear. I think they're gonna re-release a very special box set and celebrating Strangers of the Night, their live album. It's gonna be out in November. I can't wait to hear it. And just this is just to say how still I am a big hard rock fan, and I'm still one of those musicians who still buys records. And there's records everywhere in my house. There's more records than shoes, I would definitely say. And so yes, that's where Tygers come from. They come from they were basically a hard rock fan band, and that started playing with a more rough attitude and a more direct attitude, with a little bit of a punk, if you say, a little bit of punk. They were there when the punk was born in England in 1976, 77. So they were there. They were listening to that generation. So they got some inspiration also for that. So, and that's, I think, where the metal edge came out, and that's how they developed their sound.
Perfect. And are there any memories from your first time on stage, or the worst or the best moments of a show you want to share with us?
Well, as I said, there's one show in Athens that was really one of the best experiences in my life. Also, one of the worst headache I had the day after. And there's another one. We played a show in Derby in England. Well, I think it was it was way down in 2005. I think it was the second or third gig I ever did with Tygers, and I was talking about Pete Way. That's when I had the chance to meet one of my heroes in the backstage. I was so excited, and I was so so nervous to meet I'm sharing the backstage with Pete Way, and I introduced myself to him, and I said, look, I'm a great big fan. I'm a singer from Tygers, and I said. And he's a great football. He was. Still think he is, but he was a great football. He's a great football fan. So when I said that I was Italian, I asked him. He asked me, which team, if I was into football, obviously, and what was my favorite Italian team. And luckily, I said the right. I said the right answer, and I said, I'm from Florence, so my team is Fiorentina, and he'll say, oh, what a relief, because apparently one of the Italian team had taken his favorite team out of some champion, some big game, so big challenge. So and that was it, and I met him several times after, and he always remembered me, and it was always, it was strange but nice, the fact that at different shows in different times, we had a chance to meet each other, and it was him saying, oh, hello Jack, how you doing? And to me that really it's still one of my fondest memory. I have Pete Way recognizing me and saying hello, and taking time speaking with me. So that was great.
Perfect. And is there anything you regret throughout the years?
Not a single thing. I think there's in my life, there's no time for regrets. That's something that I always, I always believed in that. I'm a person that is always looking at, the next, at tomorrow. I try to live the present as much as I can, and at the same time, I'm completely devoted to the future, and I'm looking forward to what the future, will bring me. And I don't list what happened in the past has happened, and there's probably a good reason why this has happened, and that's it. I never looked, look behind me. I never, and so, and I must say, I'm a lucky guy to have this kind of attitude, and so that's it. No regrets. Rock and roll does not. It's not. If you leave, for music, and if you leave for rock and roll, I think there's no time for regrets. You have to have always, if not optimistic, you have to have like some kind of excitement towards the future.
I absolutely agree with you. And finishing, Jack, do you want to tell something to your fans, a message for your fans?
Yes, I want you all, Tygers fans from Greece and who are listening to Black Velvet Radio, to help us coming to Greece. We want to come to Greece and to play live for you. We can't wait to do that. So help us making this dream possible, because we miss you, and we would love to stay and do a couple of shows in Greece and meet you all.
Thank you very much. It was a great interview. We are waiting the new album. We hope to see you in Greece again. Until then,
yes.
Stay safe and stay strong.
Thank you very much. Stay safe too, and keep rocking.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Have a nice evening.
Bye-bye.